Good afternoon, everyone. Happy Wednesday. We'll just let a few people trickle in before we start our session, but please let us know where you're calling in from today. I'm here from Sydney, nice and early in the morning, get to finish early in the afternoon, and alongside Alissa. Alissa, you want to say hey?
Hi, everyone. Afternoon. I'm joining from our San Francisco office. So you've got the global Dovetail presence here this afternoon for this webinar. Happy to be joining and co-hosting with Emily.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun time. We'll just give it another minute, but I'll just introduce myself. So everyone, thank you for joining us for our session today on What's New in Dovetail and spending your time with us. I'm Emily. I work in the product marketing team here at Dovetail. And I'm joined by Alissa, who just introduced themselves, from my team. And Alissa will be managing the chat today. So please feel free to drop in your questions throughout the session. We'll also have Q&A basically trickled throughout the session. So at the end of each of bulk part of our session, as well as at the end. So as I said, please, we'd love to hear from you. Drop any questions or comments in the chat. And we basically have an amazing community here. We'd love to hear from everyone about their experience with Dovetail, with one another as we go. So feel free to keep the conversation going in the chat. So we will start our session. A couple of weeks ago, we made a pretty big announcement at our first ever Dovetail conference, Inside Out. This announcement was about our new magic features. These features are changing the game for customer-centric product teams who want to uncover insights hidden in mountains of customer data faster than ever before. They help empower teams, not just a research team in an organization, to find the answers to their burning questions so that they can make their next decision with confidence. With our session today, just a heads up that we will walk through a few features available across our newest plans. We'll also assume that you're comfortable with the basics of Dovetail, including notes, highlights, and insights. We'll touch on these, but not in detail. So for today, you will learn how to uncover insights in your customer data fast with Magic Transcribe, Summarize, Highlight, Redact, Reels, and Cluster. There's a lot there, big mouthful. The next thing you'll learn is how to drive alignment across teams with Magic Search. And lastly, how to continuously track themes across large customer data sets with our newest feature, Channels. So just to start our first segment, how to uncover insights fast, we'd love to get an understanding of who is joining us for our session today. So what is your primary function at your organization? Is it research, design, product management, or something completely different? Amazing. So it looks like we've got a lot of research and design people in the room today, which is not unexpected. They have a big community here at Dovetail. So for many people here, you may be a small team looking to collaborate with others across the organization to do research that is critical to developing a successful product strategy. As we know, the work behind surfacing insights is really hard, and especially for people who aren't researchers by trade, but care about making customer-informed decisions. So anyone here today, you can empower your product teams to balance understanding customers and uncovering quality insights fast with our new magic features. So we'll just put this into practice with our colleague, following the journey of Jenny, our product manager at a music streaming app. I'm a researcher and I'm helping Jenny work together to conduct customer interviews, as these in-depth, rich conversations help the team develop their roadmap and prioritize the next cool thing they can deliver for their customers. Here we have set up a project with a whole bunch of interviews that we have conducted together, and Jenny is helping to analyze these interviews with me. We only have one more interview left to do, so we'll just jump into this one. So upon the upload, our interview has been instantly transcribed with the help of Magic Transcribe. And while this is useful, as a PM, Jenny may not have time to read through the whole transcript. And what they really need is to navigate through this quickly, to share the TLDR with their team, designers, and engineers. So for this, they can leverage the Magic Summary. The Magic Summary is located in the sidebar and is automatically generated by our AI. It is an accurate and instant overview of the transcript broken down into key time-stamped chapters that my teammate or I can jump to and watch. These summaries aren't set in stone, so they're editable if you would like to add any additional context or any extra information to this, or just edit because you found there are a few things that you needed to tweak from the summary. So this interview with Rob was conducted by myself, so Jenny isn't too familiar with what was actually discussed, nor can recount any key moments from memory that stood out during the interview. So to help get them started, they can leverage the new Magic Insight feature to help speed things up. To do this, you can click on the Magic Highlight button here and select Suggest. And from here, our AI will then do the work to suggest important clips from this interview. Once this has been generated, throughout the process, you can actually have a look at these suggested highlights and control what is actually important to you by accepting or rejecting the highlights from your note. So we'll just go through a few of these while reading the reasoning to why this has been suggested and accept or reject a few. Great. So once all of our suggestions have been reviewed and we've rejected or accepted them, we can also have a look at our highlight-only video. So once you've created a few highlights in your transcript, it will automatically generate a highlight-only video that you can then share with your team to get the really important meaty parts of the video for your stakeholders to consume. Once we were looking through this transcript, we noticed that there were a few leaks of PII. And as a researcher, we want to make sure that this privacy is maintained for our participant. So with Jenny, they can actually go through the transcript and redact any information that leaks this PII with Magic Redact. From this, they can blur the video as well, or as redact the audio and transcript itself. So we'll go ahead and redact some of this transcript. Once redacted, this means that anyone in your workspace will not be able to see this part of the transcript or video. So now that our last interview has been analysed, Jenny and I are ready to start creating summaries of our findings. We've got a whole bunch of interviews here that we need to make sense of and connect common themes across them quickly. So to explore where these connections lie between key moments from these interviews, we have set up a canvas of our highlights. If we zoom out a bit, you'll be able to see here a bunch of our highlights that we've created. And because Jenny and I didn't have time together to affinity map these highlights, we've actually used Magic Cluster to group these together. When using Magic Cluster, highlights are automatically grouped and given labels as well. And though not as specific as we'd like them to be, so search and discovery personalized playlists, we can leverage these helpful signposts for where we can start focusing our efforts. So upon reviewing these highlights a little bit further, in especially these two clusters here, there may be an opportunity area that we found around personalizing our app's search and discover feature. We'd like to share this with our team so that we'll summarize this finding in an insight. To do this, we'll select our two groups, click Add to Insight, and give our insight a title. Once this has saved, we can jump straight into our insight. And this insight here, we can see that the title that we've given our insight, it has automatically been populated, as well as the reel of all the highlights that we've gathered from our clusters into this reel here. And this reel is ready to play for anyone to consume. If we wanted to, we could also add further context to our insight by editing, adding any layout features. And then once we're ready, we can publish and share this with our team in Dovetail or copy the link to it inside in Slack. So just to recap, you can leverage Magic Highlight, Summarize, Reels, Redact, and Cluster to empower your stakeholders to understand your customers while uncovering insights fast. Great.
Amazing stuff, Emily. Yeah, we do have a few questions. First of all, what lever on that? I assume this means the magic highlights. What levers can you pull in kind of prompting the magic highlights? Can you increase specificity, number of suggestions, the theme of the suggestions that it's making?
So at the moment, you can actually add an optional prompt before using the suggest highlight feature. So if there's any kind of learning goals that you would specifically like to look our model to look out for, you can actually add this information here. If there's any other level of specificity that you would like to surface in a note, let us know through the feedback option. And then we can, this feature is still a work in progress for you guys to help us build further out. But essentially at the moment, you have an optional prompt here. And when you accept and reject highlights in your note, it'll actually learn over time what you're trying to look out for as well.
Amazing. And another great question here, we're showing a lot of our new highlighting capabilities, but what about tags? When should our users be thinking about using highlights versus tags?
Yeah, so tags in the new world of tags and highlights being separated from one another, I would definitely say that tags are more of an advanced feature for our research-heavy users. So in terms of leveraging highlights, these capture your key moments, and then you can use tags to group those, to do a first round of analysis and group those highlights together. So if organizing those highlights is really important to your process, we would definitely recommend to continue using tags. If it's not so much, you can use just the highlight only feature to continue to surface those key moments that don't need to be tied to a tag specifically.
Yeah, definitely. And how about Magic Cluster working with tags? I guess there's a question if, in the case that there are research-heavy folks who have a really robust tagging structure, are they still able to use Magic Cluster, or is there another way?
So you can use Magic Cluster, so that will pick up on the themes in your highlights and create those groups for you. But if you have used tags throughout your process, you can actually group by tag as well. So that still exists in the product. It's just a little bit hidden in the menu at the moment. But that is still another option you can leverage to do any of your affinity mapping on the canvas.
Awesome. All right. I think that's all the questions so far. Let's move on into the next section.
Sweet. So we've got our next section, which is drive alignment across teams. So we've got another question for you all. On average, how often are you being asked to do research that has already been done in the past? So once a quarter, once a month, once a week, every day. Now, I would be surprised if it is every day, but it might happen. You never know. So as I can see on the screen here, people get once a quarter. That sounds about right. Yeah.
Don't count out once a month. Lots of folks getting bugged once a month.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot. The fact that this is even happening at all is crazy. So now that you have empowered your team to uncover their own insights and projects, how do you actually prevent them from duplicating insights that have been already uncovered by your team? And you can actually do this by driving alignment of what is already known about your customers by encouraging stakeholders to leverage valuable insights in Dovetail that impact business decisions with Magic Search. So we'll put this into practice for our PM again, Jenny. So Jenny is probably used to bugging their research team for answers to questions that may already have been answered. They want to validate some assumptions by consuming research that's already been done in Dovetail. So by navigating to the search and discover up the top here, we have the ability for anyone to self-serve answers to their questions. So search over the last few months has been beefed up to not only show keyword and exact terms, but unearth data based on meaning, intent, and context. So, for example, let's ask a question that our product manager might have to validate an assumption they have about their music streaming app. So, what do customers think about our app? Maybe our mobile app, even more specific. Cool. So from this question, the results in search will pull data from across the workspace. So this is all the data that this user has access to. These results focus on sentiment as well as keywords from the question. These results are great, but as we can see, there's 66. That's quite a lot of them. And we don't really know where to start looking. So to help us make sense of these results, a magic summary has been automatically populated to help guide us through what we're seeing in search here. And although useful, we're kind of skeptical about what the results are telling us. So we can actually have a look at the raw data that this summary pulls from in the citations here. So maybe let's jump into one of these citations and have a look. Here we can see that this has pulled from one of our interviews with Rob from a project called Ongoing Interviews. And it has surfaced this highlight here that we can play directly from the note. Maybe we'll jump into another one and have a look as well. So this one here, another highlight that is pulled from a customer interview called Naomi. So upon review of our summary here, our PM Jenny has decided that this actually does capture some valuable and timely information they want to start leveraging to start a conversation with their engineers and their designers in their team. So in here, any contributor can actually create an insight directly from a summary. So what we'll do is we'll create an insight as a resource to start this discussion with our team. In the insight, we can see that it's been given the title of the question that we asked. This is editable. We've also got the summary that it's populated itself. This is also editable. And also a beautiful highlight reel down the bottom here that shows all of the highlight citations that are from the summary.
Yeah.
This, though very useful, is still stuck in Dovetail. So what we can actually do is publish this and share with our team as well. An insight created from a search summary like this one, lives in your personal profile. So this lives in my profile. If you actually wanted it to be used as a starting point for another project that you're using in Dovetail, it doesn't have to stay in your profile. You can edit this and also move it to another project. So for example, maybe we'll move this to our mobile app feedback project as a starting point to lay the foundation for areas that we'll be diving deeper into in our project. So just in summary, you can align your team around a shared understanding of your customers by encouraging stakeholders to self-serve insights about your customers with Magic Search. Great. And do we have any questions on that, Alissa?
Yeah, we do have a fair amount of questions. Lots of excitement around Magic Search. This is such a big uplift in our search experience, and I know folks are excited to get their hands on it. A lot of the questions have to do around the type of data that Magic Search is pulling in for those summaries, or not just the summaries, but like what it's returning, I guess. So there's a question on how Magic Search works with workspace fields. There's another one around pulling from insights, or is it just the highlights? So maybe a double click into what types of data is being pulled in Magic Search.
Yes, that's a very fair question. So at this time, the search is actually generated from any highlights that you've created in your workspace. So for example, we know that a lot of people are very interested or very keen for this summary to leverage insights, as in the object of insights from Dovetail as well in this summary. At this time, it's just pulling from highlights, but there is work in progress on our team to basically pull also information from notes and from insights as well.
Great. But just, to put a point on that too, I'll just also add that Magic Search does still return, like the search itself still returns like you can filter by workspace field or by insight as well. We've also uplifted our filtering experience through Magic Search. So through that, you could still filter based on field or based on insight. It's just the summary itself is highlights only.
Yeah, that's right. Thank you.
Great. Awesome. Going to kind of that sharing or the exporting of the insight, what are some best practices on exporting insights to, say, like a PDF or an image? Any guidance on that we currently have?
Yes. So to a PDF, it's a little bit tricky because of the media that they usually have in insights is quite dynamic. So for example, those videos, the only kind of option that the best option that you have at the moment is to share a copy the link to the insight and drop it in any communication channels you have with stakeholders, or as well, you could also use public access. So you can enable public access for this insight so that your stakeholders can just see the insight itself without needing to log into the workspace. So kind of pulling into those existing tools that you have in terms of like any presentations, a PDF, you can do that with our print to PDF option. It's not the nicest experience at the moment. So I would definitely recommend that sharing directly from the workspace or the public insights option as well.
Amazing. And maybe just one more question for the highlight reel inside of that insight. Are you able to blur out participants' faces in that highlight reel?
In this highlight reel, you would actually need to do that magic redact that I showed earlier within the note itself. So, for example, if this highlight here with Rob, we would need to go back to the original project, find that highlight, and add the redaction there. So you won't be able to do any kind of like video editing within this highlight reel itself. It would need to trace back to the project.
Awesome. All right, I think that's it for questions for now. We can move on to our final section.
Sweet. All right, so we've got our last section, which is about tracking themes across large data sets. So just another poll for you all. Which of these always-on feedback channels are your teams using to understand customer behaviors, pain points, etc.? So select all that apply. We've got support tickets, CSAT scores, bit of a tongue twister there, NPS scores, App Store reviews, in-product surveys, or just any others as well.
And if you are using others, maybe throw it in the chat on a second. What are some of the other channels that you're using?
Yeah, definitely. It looks like the support tickets and in-product surveys are really common. But how best to actually listen to your customers through these channels can be really challenging, as many of you may have actually experienced in the past. So because this type of customer feedback is constantly coming in, it's disconnected and scattered across different teams and tools. You can actually motivate your stakeholders to tune in to this always-on customer feedback by continuously tracking themes in one place with our new feature channels. So, for example, we know that interviews, just like the ones that we've done in this project here, they help our product manager, Jenny, have rich, in-depth conversations that help them prioritize the next innovation they can deliver for customers. But that's not all the work that they do. They're always making those smaller quality of life improvements to their product as well. At Dovetail, we call these paper cuts, and there's always so many to go after that it can be really hard to prioritize which ones to go after first. So to help our PM and their team build a roadmap that balances opportunities for innovation with those high priority paper cuts, we have set up a channel to track inbound support tickets. So support is an important contact point for our customers at our organization. So we've connected our Intercom account as a source to this channel, as well as uploaded some Slack comments that we've received in our community from a CSV. So by connecting our Intercom account, this will actually continuously update and track tickets received by our team in this channel here. You can also connect tools such as Zendesk, Jira, and Front, or, as I mentioned, upload a CSV to any channel. So using machine learning tools, our support tickets brought in from Intercom have actually been classified and bucketed into this short list of themes here. We want to compare how these themes have trended over time, so we'll open up a graph to have a look at this and select all our themes. So on our graph, we can see that this one here, music streaming issues, has been coming up regularly in the light purple, quite frequently over the last quarter. Naturally, some themes may be more important to you or your product manager, but you do want to avoid recency bias. So, for example, our PM may have heard of an issue around music streaming in one of those interviews, but wants to put this anecdotal feedback into perspective. So we'll change the timeline for this to year to date. As we can see here, music streaming issues has been trending quite frequently over time. We'll also change this to a bar chart just because we like to look at the information a bit differently. Let's dive into these music streaming issues to get a better understanding of what these issues actually are. If we click into this, we can see that a magic summary, another one just like the one from search and from our notes, has been generated from 116 data points. So these data points are our support tickets. And these have been bucketed into this theme using machine learning. So continuing to be a little bit of a skeptic, we want to engage directly with the data that has contributed to this theme to actually form an opinion on its credibility. So let's read through a few of these tickets that we've received in support and determine whether these actually align to what the theme is telling us. With channels, nothing is set in stone here. And you can work hand in hand with the classification engine in different ways. So you can merge two similar themes together. So if we find two of these themes are telling us the same information, we can select these and merge these themes. And when merging, all of the data points under these two buckets move into one. You can also rehouse any specific data. So we can see how do I find and listen to podcasts? You can move this and bucket it into another theme. And with the title of the theme, you can change this as well to basically communicate something that is more relevant to your team, more specific, or just makes a bit more sense to you. These changes over time will help our automatic classification get smarter, helping you to place these data points into the correct buckets to build upon your themes. So, in summary, you can motivate your stakeholders to tune into always-on customer feedback that influences product decisions by continuously tracking themes in one place with channels. So, channels is actually currently in beta, and you can influence what we build next by signing up to our beta program now through your Dovetail workspace. And all of your feedback will be fed into a channel very similar to this to help us refine it over time. So, Alissa, any questions?
Yes. Awesome. There are some questions here. I know AI, ML are hot topics right now in the industry, and there's lots of concern around how data is being used to train those models. So there are a few questions here around understanding how we train our models for channels, and how their customer data, how our customers' customer data might be used.
Yes. So first of all, customer data is not used to train our models. It's completely run off our own pre-trained models. So there's no concern there. We also depending on the task at hand that you're doing in Dovetail, we actually select a different model. So for example, if you're summarizing information over classifying, so with this classification, with the themes here, different models are being used. These are run off our own infrastructure as well. So none of your customer data ends up anywhere else. We also have some thorough information on our help center that would be really helpful if you do need to bring this up internally at your company. And we're always happy to answer any questions through support as well.
Great. And then a question in the chat around where Channels is available. What plans is Channels currently available on? And then a follow-up question is, do you have any plans to integrate with Salesforce? Because that's where support tickets and survey data lives.
Yes. So you can actually, first of all, Channels is currently in beta. So you can sign up for the beta if you're on any plan through your workspace settings. The beta option you can find just here under beta. There'll be a big square that says sign up to our Channels beta. So you can easily access there. What this does is that it puts you on a wait list, and from there we'll gradually add more and more people to the beta over time. This is to help refine Channels. As we know, it's going to be a really popular feature that we have in Dovetail that aligns really nicely with our project's experience. So sign up to our wait list and you'll hear from us within a few weeks or over the period of time.
Amazing. Great. And then kind of the last question, and kind of as a good sort of segue to close, is around what our mid to long-term strategy is in terms of what stakeholders we want inside of Dovetail, what who are we intending to prioritize most through usage of Dovetail? And I'm happy to take that one. I think, our core user base being research and trying to firstly empower researchers to do their best work, being kind of our core mandate. Now we're really starting to expand the aperture and focus on how we can empower researchers to democratize access to all of the great work that they do and make it easier for all their different stakeholders to engage with the data that or the kind of insights that they're generating within Dovetail, and really kind of leverage all the rich data inside of Dovetail as a customer insights hub to empower better decision-making across the board. We think that product organizations naturally gravitate towards a solution like this. As we said as we saw in the survey earlier, we have a number of designers on the call as well who are engaging with research data. Product managers, as Emily went through in today's demo, are engaging more and more with our solution. So we're really focused on figuring out ways to help product teams writ large leverage all the insights being created across the organization to help decide what to build next and build better products. And hopefully we showed today that these improvements, these new features, are a big step forward in that journey to kind of help everyone leverage customer insights to make better product decisions, is what we intended to show today. Emily, did you have anything to add there?
Yeah, definitely. I've been working at Dovetail. I think this is coming into year 3, which is kind of wild. And our beautiful research community, we do commonly hear that they do want to bring stakeholders into Dovetail to engage more with their insights that they're generating, because they're so valuable to understanding customers and an organization. And part of what we understand is that people actually, they will also want to engage in the process with you. So finding ways to bring those people in without having to learn the whole craft of research, that's the research expertise, and bringing those people in to work with you basically to do this process and kind of lift that burden of having to do all this manual analysis alone, as well as the buy-in process. Buy-in for stakeholders is so important. So we're hoping that these moving towards focusing on a whole organizational product team will help everyone in the long run understand how their customers think and how they feel over time.
Amazing. We had one more question pop in at the last minute, and this would be maybe a good time to showcase some of the stuff happening in our community. Are there plans to create templates for presenting findings? Findings are only as good as the story told with them. That's a great point. Would you like to show some of our templates, Emily?
Yes. I just need to remember how to access them. You can find these when you're in a project, you can access templates when creating a new insight up the top here. So we've got a few Dovetail templates that we've added that you can leverage the structure of to craft that narrative in your insights. And you can also create workspace level templates on our higher plan, so our enterprise and plan. If there is a certain way that your team would like to structure insights over time, you can save those to your workspace through the workspace template option. But yeah, we have a few of our templates here. So feature request feedback. And this one here is just a highlight reel. So you can leverage these to form those insights. And if you have any beautiful templates that you would like to share with the community, you can do that. Just reach out to our team and we can add this to our insight community here.
Amazing. Love the templates. Love the community. What I keep thinking that this one's the last one, and then someone pops in. These are all such great questions. There's a question about how confident we are on the new magic features that someone can fully rely on AI instead of manually going through the process. And this is something I feel really passionate about. So I'm gonna kick things off.
Yes, please.
I think, we're about a year and a half, almost exactly, since ChatGPT kind of took the world by storm, and generative AI and LLMs and all this technology kind of became the new buzzword. And lots of companies were kind of rushing to throw AI into their products in a myriad of different ways. And I think at Dovetail, what I appreciate in my short time here is that we're definitely on this journey. The way we approach AI is that we're kind of on the journey with our users and understanding and learning from you all on how you can best leverage this new technology to make your lives easier and create better outputs or better insights. And so that's why you'll notice in all these magic features that we released, that we covered today, there's always what we call like a human in the loop element, that none of this is fully automated. Like for Magic Highlight, you need to go through and accept or reject. Same thing with clustering. You can undo clustering. The summaries, you can edit the summaries. And so the idea here is that we're still giving you full control, just giving the option to help automate what were once quite manual tasks. And then that has a win-win effect for both our users and then also for us, because then now we're learning kind of where our AI is doing well, where it's falling short, so we can continually iterate and improve the process so that we know we're developing something that will actually be useful for our customers. Emily, anything to add there?
No, I think you pretty well covered it. I think, there's just a common sentiment around the world that AI, do we trust it yet? So still having people like actually control what we can and can't do in the product when surfacing these customer insights to kind of build that trust and credibility is really important. So yeah, as Alissa said, still human in the loop for for leveraging these magic features when doing analysis and also in search and in channels.
Amazing. Well, that does seem to be the last question. Just as a reminder, we're recording this and we will send out the recording to everyone after the session. But let's keep the conversation going. Don't be afraid to join our community if you haven't yet. Emily, I'll let you take it home.
Yes. So thank you for joining us today. We hope you leave feeling empowered to leverage these features to uncover insights faster, drive alignment across teams, and leverage those always-on customer feedback channels to help you decide what to do next. So thank you again for joining us. And yeah, as Alissa said, we've got a recording of this session that we'll send out via email afterwards, as well as some additional resources about the features that we covered today. Any other questions, jump into our community. We'd be happy to answer those as well. So thank you so much.